Hey y'all, it's Thomasina. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, thanks for tuning in. So when most people think about the modeling industry, the first things that usually come to mind are like Tyra Banks, America's Next Top Model, the Victoria's Secret fashion show, people like Naomi Campbell, Cara Delevingne, Kendall Jenner, the Hadid sisters, and big names like that. It's all about the glitz and glamour, the flashing lights, the paparazzi, the fashion shows, the expensive shoes, the expensive bags, yada yada yada. Those are the things that come to mind. But no one really tells you what's going on behind the scenes. No one really tells you what it's really like. So I'm here to spill the tea. So if you're interested in learning more about what they don't tell you about the modeling industry, keep watching. Number one, this is probably the most obvious thing, but with the modeling industry, you are not going to be an overnight success. 90% of models in the industry have been working for years before they had their big break. And I mean like 5-10 years before they really make it. So you're not going to be an overnight success unless you're coming from a long line of people who are already big in the industry. Kardashians, for example. Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner had an entire lineage of people who were already in this celebrity culture, who were already in the industry of being in the limelight, in the spotlight. So it was easy for them to book campaigns. It was easy for them to be in the know. It was easy for brands to see those faces and want to work with them. And so though people like that, they can be considered overnight successes. But for your regular girls like little old me, maybe you watching this video, it's not likely that you're going to be an overnight success. So just get that out of your head right now. Not saying that you cannot be successful, but don't expect it to happen overnight. And especially with social media these days, especially with TikTok, you see how easy it is to gain a massive amount of followers, sometimes seemingly overnight, just by having one video blow up. So I think with being exposed to so many people who are now gaining massive followings on social media, it creates this idea in our mind that success can come so easily, but we don't even know what's going on in the behind the scenes of those creators that are blowing up seemingly overnight. So I say all that to say, nothing comes overnight. There's definitely a lot of work going on behind the scenes to get people to that point, and you just really have to work for it. But I don't want you guys to go into the modeling industry or to go into this kind of career thinking it's gonna happen so fast, like you've seen it happen for many people on social media, because like I said, social media is a highlight reel. Oftentimes the modeling industry just shows you a highlight reel. You do not know what's going on behind the scenes. With the modeling industry, oftentimes you'll be told no 1,000,000 times before you get your yes. Prepare yourself to be told no over and over and over and over again. I feel like I need a necklace, y'all. I look so bare. Hold on. Better, much better. I feel like that just completes the look. Next, modeling work can be super volatile, and by that I mean January you could be booked and busy working every single day. February could roll around, you could not book anything for the entire month. It ebbs and flows. You never know when you're going to be working consistently, and you never know when there's going to be a dry period. When the pandemic hit in 2020, models pretty much weren't working for that entire year. You had a few of us who were working from home creating user-generated content for like TikTok and Instagram, but a vast majority of models were out of work for that entire time. And so you just never know when you're going to be working and when you're not going to be working. That can be a very scary experience because that impacts your livelihood, but sometimes it's just out of your hands and sometimes you just don't work. But then there are times where you're working a lot, so you really just never know. That's why it's so important to save your money as a model, because you never know when you're gonna need to dive into maybe like a safety fund or something like that. You never know when you're gonna have like unexpected expenses, or you never know where you're gonna have like a really long dry period where you're not making any money whatsoever. So yeah, because social media is a highlight reel, a lot of these models are only posting when they're working, or sometimes they even post old videos of when they're working so that it looks like they're working all the time. And really, sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's not the case, but you would never know that because you're not behind the scenes. And stemming from making money and saving your money and things like that, another thing that a lot of people don't talk about within the modeling industry is that it can take a very, very long time for you to even get paid once you book a job. Most agency contracts state that they have up to 3 months to pay you for that booking, and most of the time it does take 3 months or even longer for you to see that money. So again, it's so important to be saving because you never know when you're gonna get that check. Even if you know the jobs that you're booking are paying a lot of money, you could go a month without seeing, you could go 3 months without seeing any of that money, and then on the 4th month you get this big lump sum of money. Don't go wilding out, spending it all willy-nilly, because you never know, you could go another 3 months without getting any money, which is super inconvenient, but that's the nature of the game, and a lot of people don't know that. I think this is something that people have been talking about more so with the emergence of the Me Too movement, but another thing that people have tried to keep on the hush-hush or tried to keep on the low-low in regards to the modeling industry is that photographers and other industry professionals will definitely try to take advantage of models because they know most of these models are broke because they're waiting for that check. Most of these models are young because agencies like to target younger models who are like 15, 16 so that they can start them young and really develop their career. So they're, you know, they're not as knowledgeable about what's right and what's wrong, so people are going to easily take advantage of them. And a lot of the models, especially in New York City, are not from America. They're not from New York City, so they're targeting people who may be seen as foreigners, or even people who are just from other states, but they're not knowledgeable about the operations of the city. They're probably nervous, they probably don't know many people, they are vulnerable. So photographers and other industry professionals will definitely take advantage of that, whether they are sexually harassing them, overcharging them for a photo shoot, asking them to do certain things during a photo shoot that really they're not supposed to do, like posing topless or posing completely nude or sharing certain photos they weren't supposed to be sharing. They will ask these things because they know that a lot of these models don't know. But yeah, people will definitely take advantage of the more vulnerable models. So you would think if you're a vulnerable model, you're younger, you're new in the industry, or you're foreign, you're not from here, you would think it would be easy to just like slide in a random model's DM and ask her for advice or ask her for like a community support system, like just friendship. You would think that would be easy, but a lot of models are like shady and just not friendly. There's a lot of gatekeeping that goes on in the modeling industry. Sometimes it can be hard to connect and make friendships with other models in the industry. Although we're all going through the same thing, we all have similar experiences, you would think that that would bring us together, but really there's a lot of division within the modeling industry and it's not really talked about that often. There are some models who just don't like sharing information, even when it comes to sharing information with other models, other people in the industry. You ask someone, ooh, who was the photographer for this photo? I love it, I would love to work with them. Nothing. Silence. Another thing that people don't talk about or people don't know about when it comes to the life of a model is that most of them have other jobs. It could take years before you can make modeling your full-time job and be earning a full-time sustainable living from modeling alone. So a lot of models have other jobs. They're either waitressing, a lot of them, you know, waitressing, bartending, being a nanny. A lot of models have gone to school and gotten degrees, so sometimes they hold jobs in those specific fields as well. But there's always got to be a backup plan because, like I said, there are times where the modeling work can be really slow, and during that time you still need to be making enough money to live your life, especially if you're living in New York City, the most expensive city in the US for sure, but I think it's the most expensive city in the world if I'm not mistaken. You need money to live a sustainable life. So definitely having a backup plan, definitely having a side job or two. A lot of models have that, but a lot of people don't know because, again, social media is a highlight reel and they only show you what they want you to know. And that's perfectly okay. You don't need to be all up in everybody's business, but this is just something to keep in mind. Now, these are things that even I didn't know when I first started modeling. So even though fashion weeks are these big things with these big brands participating, and everybody wants to get an invitation, and everybody wants to be in the front row, and every model wants to be walking in the shows, fashion shows don't pay a lot of money. Now, it's so funny because when I first started modeling, the only thing that I really wanted to do was runway modeling. I love doing runway. Fashion shows was my thing. It was like at the forefront of my goals. That's all I wanted. I especially wanted to do the Victoria's Secret fashion show back when that was still a thing. But I didn't even know that fashion shows pay slim to none, you guys. You'll probably be getting like $100 to $200 per show on average. And these shows take up so much time, from going to castings to actually being booked for the show to showing up at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. for hair and makeup and wardrobe and all that. Like, fashion shows take up so much time to pay such little money. Granted, when you make it to the big times and you're like the Naomi Campbells and Adut Aketches of the world and the Alton Masons of the world, then you can start making a little bit more money with fashion shows, because your face is now a brand. These designers need you on their runway to make the show even bigger than what it is. So like the Kendall Jenners of the world, the Hadid sisters of the world, their face is a brand in itself, and so that's what they're paying for. But when you're just starting out and you're a regular degular girl like me, well, I'm not regular degular, but for the sake of this conversation, I will call myself regular degular, because I don't have this long lineage of celebrities in my family, or I have not yet created a brand with just my face. I would be getting paid like $200 a show, $100 a show, if the fashion show even pays at all. So that's just something to consider if you're someone like me who was only focused on runway modeling until I saw those checks and they were not hitting like I thought they was gonna be hitting. But a lot of people don't know that, and I didn't even know that. Along the same lines, magazines, you guys, magazines barely even pay, if they pay. The only time you'll probably get paid from a magazine is if you're shooting like an entire campaign, and again, your face is the brand. But most of the time, you're still not getting paid. It's more so exposure for the model, like having, like saying, oh, I got the cover of Vogue Brazil, oh, I got the cover of Grazia Australia. Like, that's just something to put on your resume. It sounds good and it piques interest, but it doesn't pay very much money. You see Coco Rocha on the cover of all these magazines. Even she herself has said sometimes she wasn't even paid for those. So shooting magazines is more so just for fun, creative expression. A lot of times when they put these teams together to shoot for these magazines, the creative team is just amazing, and it's just a way to fuel our love for the industry, if that makes sense. But we're not doing it for the money. It's more so just for the exposure and being able to express that creativity that sometimes we have to suppress within our career when we're shooting for other brands. But yeah, fashion shows don't pay much and magazines don't pay much. The real money comes from shooting commercials, signing campaigns, doing e-com. E-com, if you get a repeat client for e-com, like that adds up. If you're shooting e-com like 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that's good money. Even fit modeling, if you have a client that books you consistently with fit modeling, that's good money, and it's consistent money, and that's what you want. Consistency is key. And they're definitely paying more than the fashion shows and the magazines. So that's where the money is. These commercial jobs, these fit modeling jobs, signing campaigns, and things like that. I'm sure there are many things that I have missed in this video that we just don't talk about within the modeling industry, or we don't share with people outside of the modeling industry. People like to share the good, but not the bad and the ugly. And I think we as humans have just been trained to do that, to only show the positive. This video pretty much encompasses most of the things that we just don't talk about, most of the things that people outside of the modeling industry don't know because we don't talk about it. The modeling industry is not all glitz and glam like people expect it to be. Granted, I love it and I want to do it for the rest of my life, but it is definitely hard. It can be detrimental to your self-esteem, your self-worth, your mental health, and your financial pockets, your bank accounts. It can be detrimental to all those things, but if you are passionate about it and you love it and you have a go-getter attitude, then you will not stop until you achieve the success that you want to achieve within this industry. And that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. Trust me, I've been told no 1,000,001 times and I'm still getting told no every single day, but I'm just waiting for that one yes that's going to change my life. Even these past 2 years have been so life-changing for me, and that is my motivation for continuing to grow within this industry and continuing to shoot for my goals and reach my goals. If you're interested in being a model or you're interested in a career within the modeling industry, don't let this video deter you from continuing to pursue that. I just wanted to provide some of this information so that you have more insight into what being a model is actually like and you're not going in completely blind to what you're about to experience. So like I said, I tried to include a lot of these things in the video, but I'm sure I've missed a lot. So if you guys have further questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you're interested in seeing more of what my life is like as a model in New York City. Thank you guys for watching and I will catch you in the next video. Bye! 'Cause I'm not just a pretty girl.